Gotta calm myself for this story because the story's gonna be a mess. Hello, my fellow readers. This is iDark Symphony 777 with another fan fiction review. As always, a link to the story will be in the description below. Please like the video, subscribe to the channel, click on that button for notifications, leave a comment in the comment section below on your thoughts on the story, and finally, some of my opinion. My opinion is not indicative of everyone in the world, so please respect that. So, who loves Super Smash Bros? I do. I main Inkling and Ultimate. Hello. Who likes One Piece? I do. What if you combine them together? You get this. You get this. One Piece. A Smash Adventure by Spectre24. I'm trying very hard not to get really pissed right now because, spoiler alert, I don't like this story. I don't like this story. I don't want to start negative, but this story's bad. Oh, this story. Why did this? Oh. Okay. 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 I'm calm. I'm calm. I'm calm. I'm as calm as I can be right now. I'm not that calm. Oh, what? Okay. 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 What is the plot of this story? So to understand the plot of the story, we have to actually take into account where the story is from the One Piece point of view. So in the overall story structure of One Piece, this story takes place after Enies Lobby. So this is when they just built the Thousand Sunny. Frankie joined. They beat Rob Lucci and all that. But it's between Enies Lobby and Thriller Bark. So they actually haven't gotten Brook yet. When it comes to the Smash Brothers side, that is a whole can of worms. Okay, so here's the basis of the plot. It's a little bit after the events of Enies Lobby, and they're basically just wandering to sea, kind of making their way. We all know that eventually they're gonna make their way to Thriller Bark, deal with Gecko Moria and all that. But this is like before that. So they're just relaxing. They're kind of Luffy's just fishing, and then all of a sudden, a storm kicks up. Nami is completely confused over why is there a storm, and then all of a sudden, in the middle of the sea, right in front of them, comes a big honking door. Just comes out of nowhere, and it has like a picture of Master Hand, and it opens, and they get sucked in. And the basic premise of this story is they have to travel through several worlds based off the Super Smash Bros. Franchise and find these pure hearts, but not pure hearts as in the pure hearts from Super Mario. But I'm for simplicity's sake, I'm calling them the pure hearts. They're not the pure hearts. They're the color hearts. I'm just calling them pure hearts for simplicity. And then get involved with meeting various characters from each of those franchises, so we can actually see that there's several arcs. There's the Mario, there's the Zelda arc, there's the Pokemon arc, F-Zero, Metroid, Kirby, Metal Gear, and Star Fox, and then finally these two are kind of together as like the final arc. And each arc kind of follows a very similar trajectory. They kind of pop in, they spend a little time meeting the locals, there's some shenanigans that happen, the bad guy shows up, they have the Straw Hats go after the bad guy. Each of the Straw Hats, usually most if not all the Straw Hats, usually have some kind of fight going on, with each world actually having a Straw Hat going against the main antagonist. So if we take this in order, We have Luffy goes against Bowser. Zoro goes against Ganondorf. Nami goes against Giovanni, leader of Team Rocket. Usopp goes against Black Shadow. Sanji goes against Dark Samus. Oh, we're going to talk about that. We're going to talk about that shitstorm with Dark Samus and everything is restoring that near the end. Chopper goes against Kid. Robin goes against Revolver Ocelot. Weird. And then finally, Frankie goes against Andrew Ukini. And afterwards, they beat them, they get the heart, they go to the next world, and rinse and repeat. And their main goal is eventually they find out if you get all the hearts, they find out from Merlin. If you get all the hearts, then you can just literally you go home. And they find out near the end, it's like, oh, you gotta ask Master Harp to go home. But then as the adventure goes, they come across this group of villains that is trying to rule this world called Obscurum, which is basically in the lore near the end. It's revealed that Obscurum plus 5 other planets created like the entire universe, and Master and Crazy Hand basically watch over the entire multiverse. And there was a war between Obscurum and the light area because of racism and stuff like that. It's like, oh, we like the light. Oh, there's a dark star. It's Obscurum. It's like, let's kill it. It's like, and Obscurum is like constantly absorbing dark energy but not releasing it, so it's kind of building up. And if it builds up too much, then it actually completely destroy everything and just kill everyone. And the Straw Hats have to eventually deal with that before they go home. And it's all a bunch of samey. Just if you read or watched a One Piece, any of the One Piece arcs, you can kind of easily tell the story structure, because here comes the big problem with the story. It's trying too hard to be like the anime / manga. Way too hard. I mentioned it before that you shouldn't borrow too much from the elements that you're trying to adapt without trying to balance that with proper writing. I said in my review of Fallout Equestria, I had a big problem with Fallout Equestria taking so many elements from Fallout without trying to balance it with without proper literature, and you could kind of tell that the author is trying to force those elements in. Same problem here, to a much bigger degree, because at least Fallout Equestria had amazing world building, it had the story, it had proper storytelling. It's just you could just tell when the elements of Fallout were kind of being forced into the story, and it didn't make any sense. With this story, the entire story, everything about the story, from the characters to the storytelling to the prose to the the sentence structure, everything in this story is trying to forcibly adapt as many quirks and qualities of the One Piece manga and One Piece anime into the story as possible without no way of balancing it. Like, with no proper way of balancing it. Like, oh, this is a story. You're supposed to have prose. You're supposed to have character development. There's no character development. What? Character development? Where? Character arcs? Where? Just every single character is just a more or less flat, one-dimensional, doesn't really grow. Yes, in essence, it's supposed to maintain a whole sense of status quo as God, because they don't really, the Straw Hats don't really grow as an opportunity. Like each arc has like some focus on each different Straw Hat, but it's all hollow, because by the time that you get to the next arc, it doesn't matter, because you're just trying to keep these elements the same, and it's such a frightening mess of balancing all these anime elements without trying to bring in any literary elements to try and balance it out. And so what we're left with is a massive hodgepodge of just cringe and for all these elements that anyone who has any experience in writing can tell they're just being forced in and is trying to emulate the writing, but not in a particularly good way, because the story constantly breaks the fourth wall. The author constantly mentions like, oh, previous chapter, and since this chapter 100 chapters ago, it ruins the immersion. It's very cringe. There's lots of weird moment because like it's not even just the One Piece that you're trying to emulate. Like after every time they go to the next world, we get an interlude involving Bowser, which is a clear reference to Paper Mario Thousand Year Door. Shout out to the remaster of Thousand Year Door. I got my Vivian plushie. And Bowser becoming just a running gag. There's tons of weird. There's lots and lots of various padding. Every arc has to end with a bunch of anime fights with no time to breathe in between them. There always has to be a Luffy fight. There always has to be a Zoro fight. There always has to be a Sanji fight. And usually those three plus whoever the Straw Hat you're supposed to see fight is in. There's the Metroid chapters. That's the Metroid arc is literally a can of worms in and of itself. And I say that as a Metroid fan. You can't take most of the humor is not really taken seriously. I mean, there's a couple good jokes here and there. The whole thing with like Frankie making like a no pants alliance, like because he tries to go into Princess Peach Castle, and it's like, no, you're not allowed in here. Your people ain't allowed in here. You have a thing against cyborgs? No, we have a thing against people who don't wear pants. Hey! Did that guard say he had a thing against people with no pants? Get him! And like a bunch of Kumas just talk about the Toads. And Frankie's like, see, there is some good because there are some moments which are actually generally funny. The F-Zero chapters, spoiler alert, these F-Zero chapters are probably like the funniest parts because the story takes place after GX, and GX is very campy and hammy, so it kind of lends itself into the dimensions of trying to emulate the humor of One Piece, and it does that really well. And then you have most of the other chapters, which are very mid. The Mario chapter is very mid, and also full like a massive plot hole. Like, how the fuck did Wario get Samurai Jack's katana? What? Yes, that is a thing that happens. Wario somehow gets Samurai Jack's katana and gives it to, and then Zoro kind of buys it away from him, and then it breaks at the end because he doesn't have Shishui, so that sword needs to break so that he can get Shishui, and it's so like, what am I reading? Like, why does Zoro have Samurai Jack's katana? It's so weird. And then Legend of Zelda takes place after Twilight Princess. Of course, the Ganondorf and the Zelda, Link, and Ganondorf are all based off the Twilight Princess incarnations, because the story was actually made in right here 2007. So Brawl was coming out in between around the time the story came out. And then you have Pokemon, which was based at the end of the Indigo Plateau. So this one takes place in the anime, which is really weird because it's not based off the games. It's based off the anime, and then you have Ash, and then you have Giovanni. Somehow it's Mewtwo again. And then you get F-Zero, of course. And then you get Metroid. I can't wait for that. After that, they get Kirby, which again based off the anime. So we get Tiff and Tough, and we get like the Mexican Meta Knight. Of course, we get the Mexican Meta Knight. We also get Southern DDD. Oh, give me that bag of chips. I can't take DDD when he has a Southern accent seriously. But then again, that's the whole point. And after that, you had Metal Gear, which takes place chronologically after Metal Gear Solid 2, but before Metal Gear Solid 4. And then finally we have Star Fox, which takes place after Command. Why? Because nobody likes Command. I certainly don't like Command. I play Command. All right. I don't like Command. I just feel I don't like the Anglers because they're just horrible villains. It's just me. But then you get to the Metroid arc. I'm so tempted to just make a video separate just for the Metroid arc. Because, oh my god, you know what? No, I know I'm avoiding looking at the camera, but that's because I'm trying not to show off how frustratingly pissed I am. But let's talk about let's hold on. Let me turn on the light. 1 second. Okay, I have the lights on. The Metroid chapter. This has to be one of the worst things. These 16 chapters have to be some of the worst writing I have ever seen. Now, for context, I am a Metroid fan. I have played most of the Metroid series, with the exception of Metroid 2 and Metroid Dread, because I don't have a Switch, so I can't really play Dread. I think my friend actually has Dread on the Switch, so I could probably play it. But I have played I pretty much played every other game besides that, either completed or I played like at least a chunk of it. And of course, my favorite, and for those of you who know, my favorite Metroid game is Metroid Prime 2 Echoes. I know it's technically the black sheep of the Prime trilogy. I know that, they look at Prime 1 and they look at Prime 3 and it's like, these are great games. And it's like, this is... And they see Echoes, and then they're immediately reminded of the Boost Guardian, and it's like, don't look at me like that. Shame on your family. But I love Echoes. So realizing that this game takes place on Aether, that's really cool. The fact that, and then comes the plot. Okay, so the story of the Metroid arc is implied to take place after Prime 3. You already know where I'm going with this. They find out that Ridley is still alive, which makes no sense. The Phazon is still on Aether, which makes no sense. The Dark Samus is still alive, which makes no sense. The AIM come back, which makes no sense. Luffy constantly calls Samus a transsexual, which is really cringe. The Straw Hats have to fight the 3 hunters from Corruption, Gandrea, Rundes, and Gore, which makes no sense. The Metroid chapters honestly read like the person either didn't play Prime 3 Corruption, or he played Prime 3 Corruption and didn't beat it yet. Because if this story took place after Corruption, Phazon wouldn't be on Aether. Gore, Gandrea, and Rundes wouldn't be alive. Dark Samus wouldn't be alive. Ridley would still be in the repair bay because he got his ass whooped twice, and the Pirate Homeworld would have been completely dealt with. And it just kind of doesn't make a lot of sense. Like, if this story took place after Echoes, like before Corruption, after Echoes, fine. But the fact that it literally is implied to take place after Corruption. You want to know what happens at the end of Corruption? Well, Samus goes to FaZe, kills Dark Samus, destroys FaZe, and guess what? FaZe is the source of Phazon, and the lore speculates that without FaZe, Phazon literally cannot exist. The Ing are made from Phazon because of a Leviathan seed crash lands. Ridley completely just kind of points out that the Luminoth are very weak, despite the fact that Luminoth are actually implied to be as strong as the Chozo. They're just strong in spiritual arts rather than like technology like the Chozo were. Again, we got to go back to the whole Luffy calling Samus a transsexual, which again makes no sense. Okay, fine. When Luffy calls Samus a transsexual the first time, all right, makes sense. It's a neat little nod to the fact that in the original Metroid manual, they do a little story where Samus is always referred to as him. It's meant to kind of hide the secret that Samus is a chick as much as possible, which is why Samus being a woman is so iconic. But every time after that, it kind of makes no sense because Luffy wouldn't really do something like that. The Ing coming alive, they literally can't come alive again because then you have to bring FaZe back, and FaZe can't come back because Samus literally blew it up, and Phazon is more destroyed in a metaphysical sense, so you literally would have to either rewind time or warp reality to bring it back. Granted, the villains could do that, but it's not done here. It's just said, oh, the Obscurum can bring the dead back to life. The problem is you can't bring back radiation. Like, it's not like Phazon's not even alive. It's literally just cosmic radiation. You can't bring that alive. And it's like, oh, what about Ridley? Well, he can't. Well, he'd be dead. Well, not really dead, but he'd be kind of shut down because he would be taken out of commission until the events of Metroid, until Super Metroid. And then you have the Hunters, who are literally dead. They're killed. Dark Samus is dead because she literally is made of Phazon. She can't be brought back to life. She's literally just like the Phazon. She's just nothing but Phazon. She can't really be alive in that sense because you have to bring back Phazon, which is impossible. The Hunters, fine. I guess you can finagle them, like revealing that, oh, they were brought back to life, but the problem is Obscurum is like always been told that, oh, they only bring back dark hearts, but you can't really bring back Gore and Rundas. Gandrea, okay, fine. Gandrea is kind of a horrible person. But Rundas and Gore, they're not exactly horrible people. They were just mind controlled. Gandrea is like, again, make an argument that, yeah, she kind of should have came back. But no, they're implied to like actually be alive. And I'm reading through this, and there's so much padding. It's like, why are you bringing the Ing back? Why are you having them fight the Cheka and Amorbis bosses? Why is the Emperor Ing there? What is going on? Why is this? Like, I'm just reading it, and it's like, even if you take into account when the arc was going on, hence why I said more than likely the arc was going. The person wrote the arc as he was playing Prime 3. It's still a horrible outlook because the author should have beaten the game before writing the arc, so he actually knows what he's doing. Like, I'm getting so close to getting frustrated just talking about the Metroid arc. Like I'm just so I don't want to kind of drag too much on this arc, but it's something you really need to read to believe how horrible it is. After that, it's pretty much just mid. After the Metroid arc, which is insulting, everything after that is like bland and uninteresting. We get some little lore, and then we get to and then that's it. They kind of beat the bad guys to save the day and everything, and then they go back home after losing their memories. Oh, characters. What characters? What characters? Luffy, Zoro, Nami, Usopp, Sanji, Chopper, Robin, Frankie. They're one dimensional. They are there. I can't say any much more because yes, they're in character, but again, this harkens back to the whole what I said. You're borrowing too much from the anime and the manga without adding anything new. And because of that, you don't bother to actually give them a character arc. You don't bother to give them a character development because you're trying to keep them as close to the anime manga as possible. Is it accurate? Yes, they are very faithful to the One Piece world and to what they act like in One Piece. That doesn't make compelling characters if they don't grow, if they don't get an arc, if they don't develop. That doesn't change anything. You can keep them as faithful as you want, but if you're writing a million plus story, you need to give them development. You need to give them character arcs. You don't do that. The only unique character in this entire story is Crazy Hand. And Crazy Hand turns into a sexual meme lord. If he's not breaking the fourth wall, I could kind of squeeze the whole breaking the fourth wall with Crazy Hand because it's a princess that has like literal watchers of all reality. So fine, I can wiggle the fourth wall thing. But if he's not shouting memes, he's literally asking, "Hey Nami, do you want to have sex?" he's a gigantic glove, and he's asking Nami for sex, and Nami's just hitting him. And after they beat the final bad guy, Nami wakes up and Crazy Hand is literally dry humping Nami. I was like, that is just so bad. Like that's not funny. I mean, it's funny to some people. Again, humor is subjective after all, but that's not funny. Like that's just out of place. That's shock humor. Yeah, not for everyone, not for me, but all right. And then he constantly mentions he wants let's have an orgy or let's have sex, and it's just constant. It's like what am I even looking at? Like what am I looking at? Like what you turned Crazy Hand, the only character you can kind of mess around, and you turn him in like the worst thing imaginable. The bad guys, they're painfully generic. They constantly hold, if I use the trope right, they're constantly holding the idiot ball. None of them take the Straw Hats seriously because it's like, oh, we should kill them. They took one look at Luffy. It's like, nah, it looks like a goofball. We should ignore him. And then he does it again. We should kill him. Nah, it looks like a goofball. Let's ignore him. And they do it over and over again. Like they treat it like it's constantly repeating itself over just how stupid can you make these villains. Even the big bad, spoilers, Dementio, is an idiot. Because you can't take him seriously. You can't take any of the bad guys seriously. You can't take any of the villains that they had to fight in each world seriously. Goof literally literally Bowser is treated like a one-note joke, as just a big walking reference to Thousand Year Door. You can't do that. Like this, like I'm trying just really hard to not blow up in anger. I only just finished the story today. Why? Why does this story exist? Why does this story have over 1,000 reviews? I ask. Like, I don't. I don't want to be negative, but there's no reason why. There's no reason. Oh, oh. Let me just calm down. Grammar. There's a lot of grammar errors. I'm just all I'm gonna say. Sentence structure and pacing. Every single arc just progresses the same way. Every single fight progresses the same way. They constantly just throw a bunch of name moves out of the way. There's constant freaking. There's constant sound effects. Like, why? Like, yeah, that's fine, but then he constantly adds. Like, this is not. This is just horrible. Like, why? Why are you adding? Why are you adding so, like, gigantically long onomatopoeias into the story? I'm just. At this point, I'm just burning myself out. I called out Fallen Equestria for doing the onomatopoeia stuff. I'm calling this one out too. It's just at this point, it's just blasé. It's just horribly cringe. Anyway, with the fights, they literally progress the same way. They just do a bunch of moves. The Straw Hats get beaten down. When it looks like the Straw Hats are about to lose, they get a sudden burst, and then they just win. Literally repeat for like 30, 40, 50 fights because there's a lot of fights in the story. They're like they all progress the same way, and they all meld together because you just get numb to the progression because they always say they all happen the same way. Doesn't matter how you do it. Would I recommend this story? No. Cross my heart. Hope to die. Stick a cupcake in my eye. No, I cannot, in good faith, recommend this story. There is a couple minor things that I like, but overall, this story is a travesty. I said it once. I'll say it again. Why does this have so many reviews? Why does this have that many reviews? Why is there no characters? Why is the plot a ramshackle? Why is all the fight scenes the same? Why is all the villains why is Bowser treated like a joke? Okay, go. I'm not gonna scream. I'm not gonna get very, very pissed. This story is a mother fucking insult to all of these franchises except for F-Zero, as well as One Piece. I can't even defend this story on it being an author's first story, like, because you can easily tell they're not making the whole beginner mistakes. First off, why would a bigger story be over 1,000,000 words long? This story has no right to be this horrible. This story has no right to have this many reviews. This story has no right to basically insult so many different fucking fandoms. I I can't defend the story, no matter how hard I try. I cannot. Outside of the F-Zero chapters, I cannot defend the story because it's so shallow. It's so bereft of any meaningful thing because the author wants to write this so much like the anime that he completely ignores everything involving proper storytelling, proper characters, proper pacing, and instead just filling it with the most mind-numbingly boring, dull, one-dimensional plot that should have been a great idea, completely flushed down the fucking toilet because the author was convinced that he was Ichiro Oda. I think he'll write as good as Oda. No one can write as good as Oda. I am insulted. I am. Yeah, I'm gonna rage. I am insulted. I am just flat out flabbergasted how much this story fucked up. I can't. I cannot defend this travesty. This is one of the worst fan fictions I have ever read. With how insulting it is to any good graces as someone who enjoys literature, who has joy storytelling, because the author decided to just try his best to copy someone he doesn't have a chance at emulating. Do I have a favorite part? The F-Zero chapters, obviously, because those are like the only parts of the story that felt like One Piece chapter because it's goofy, it's over the top, it knew when to take itself seriously. When you read this story, just skip to the F-Zero parts. It has everything. Very good comedic charm, return to Soul King, and actually a couple engaging fights. It has a Falcon Punch because, of course, if you're gonna have F-Zero, you're gonna have a Falcon Punch. A second thing would probably be the Luffy Wolf fight because that and the fight between Ridley and Luffy are probably the only good written fights in this story because there's actual stakes and build up to them, which is how you do things. And also actually has character development with Wolf doubting Luffy's claim to be a captain and thinking you're just a fake captain. Why? Because you have that orange-haired chick constantly beating you up behind your scene for even the moment you even suggest something. That's not how a captain is. I at least appreciate the fact that the author added some personal tension with the Luffy Wolf fight. Yeah, it literally devolved into just a typical One Piece fight, but at least there was some kind of context. No matter how weak in the overall sense that it was. Bonus points, but it was actually built up over the course of like near 70 chapters. Like it was constantly alluded to with constant references to Wolf. So at least there's some build up. What would I change about the story? Get rid of the padding. Get rid of the entire Bowser Stop plot. Get rid of all the onomatopoeias. Get rid of all the padding. Don't make everything just one-dimensional. If you're going to have each world, honestly, I like the idea of like each world they go to focusing on a different Straw Hat. Why not? Every time they go to a different world, yeah, they wander around and the whole things, but it focuses exclusively on the characters. Like they're in the Nintendo world, they focus on Luffy, give him something to do, give him a character arc, even if it's exclusive to that specific arc, and then carry that on through to the rest of the story of like how he changes. Because at the end, they all lose their memory, so none of it's gonna matter anyway. Like give us a lot, like more and more focus on the specific character you're trying to focus on. Like, and it ends with them fighting the respective bad guy. How instead of Luffy always being the last fight, have it be the respective Straw Hat. Like, okay, yeah, Luffy versus Bowser, that should be the last fight. Luffy versus Zoro, that's the last fight. And then get to Indigo Plateau. Luffy versus Mewtwo is the last fight. No, it should have been Nami versus Giovanni. That should have been the last fight. Because if you're gonna go this way, always have the respective Straw Hats be the final fight, because that's what you should be building towards. Like when you get to F-Zero, don't have Deathbone, just have Black Shadow, have it be a goofball and kind of do goofball-y things with Usopp and building towards the fight and building towards his relationship between the relationship and dimensions between Black Shadow and Usopp. They're both like their fight is actually pretty good, but it's a comedic fight. But that's Usopp's MO. And then of course you keep going over and over again. And then at the end, when you get to Obscurum and then Smash World, yeah, then focus on all of them collectively. So that's fine, but just get rid of the padding, get rid of the unreal appeals, get rid of the whole Bowser plot, and you could probably get rid of like literally 250 to like 400,000 words and be completely fine. Like, there's so much padding that you can just get rid of that would make the story so much better. That's just me. You owe me one, Meme King. This has been my review of One Piece: A Smash Adventure. This has been Dark Symphony 777, and cut.